What's up, peeps? Hold on. Hey. What's up, people? I'm back for another video. We are continuing on with the Evil Dead movies. We are on Evil Dead 2, which, in my opinion, is my favorite one of the trilogy. I do like Army of Darkness is up there, though, because that's, like, the most fun one. That's the one where Ash is, like, at his, probably his best. But one thing I like about this one is it has the elements from that first movie, you know. And then there's a bit where Ash is by himself, like that good. That first 30 or so minutes, he was by himself. You know, yeah, they cut back to the scenes of the people, you know, coming to to the cabin, but they largely, at least that first chunk, it was Ash by himself, which I really liked. So that Bruce Campbell showed his acting chops in that scene, like the scene where he lost his hand, where it feels like he initially think, oh, I like because initially he dreams, Linda coming out of the grave, which the effects are great. Again, Sam Raimi does a really good job with this one, and Sam Raimi, we all know, obviously did this great trilogy, but then also did the Spider-Man movies, which were good, but the special effects were really good again. And then, yeah, that final act is so fucking good. With the tree, Ash his hand being chopped off, but then he finally makes that chainsaw, and it becomes like the Ash we know. The first time we hear Groovy, it's like, oh my god, it's so good. And I actually didn't mind the chick actor who played Annie. I didn't mind her. I thought she was fine. This core group of characters, I'll admit, aren't as good. If I had the movie, I like this one better a bit, but if I'm going purely on character, Evil Dead 1 had better characters. Aside from Ash and then Annie, the other two characters just that Annie's boyfriend who dies very early on isn't that good. Sorry about that. He isn't that good. That dude and his girl weren't that good. The girl her death was good, where she gets dragged by the trees, like call back to the first movie. But I really did not care for that scene where the hillbilly dude tried to drag him out. I didn't care for that character. And the moment he died, I was just like, fucking thank God. But so in that department, I do feel like it's weak, but it doesn't take away from the film. I still really love it. That third act, when he confronts Henrietta, and then you get the tree, you actually see it. And I'll admit, I love the intro of this movie because we actually kind of see what's going on. In the first one, it's implied, like the doctor talking about what happened to him, but you actually see it happen. Like you actually see the guy making the tape and stuff like that. I thought that was pretty cool. You get more background on what you don't really get full on background on what Deadites are, but you do get like what the Necronomicon is and what it can do. You kind of get that in the first one, but we do get a bit more backstory for it. But yeah, the score once again is really good. These movies really short. They're only like not even a full on hour and a half, but they're great. And like I said, Bruce Campbell's acting in the beginning is really good because largely he's by himself. Because in the first movie he was interacting with characters. He does interact with characters in this, but until they get to the cabin, he's by himself, which is really good. So I really love this one. Heavily recommended. I think I gave the first one a 9.5. I'd give this one like a 9.8. I really love this one. Tomorrow, The Goonies, which in my opinion is one of the greatest 80s movies. Like it's like up there, like Breakfast Club as quintessential 80s. The Goonies is like the quintessential 80s kids movie. That like what I mean is like when you think of a movie with a bunch of kids, that is the one I think of. Then yeah, you have Stand By Me, which is up there, but I'd argue The Goonies is the definitive one. So I'm gonna be reviewing that one tomorrow. Cannot wait. It's been a little bit since I've watched it, but it's such a classic. So I'll definitely be talking about that one tomorrow. And then I think Saturday I'll do a video. I'll just gotta figure out, I don't know what yet. It'll probably be the final. I'll get to shit on that shitty Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. That's most likely gonna be my video Saturday. We'll see. But besides that, I'm gonna get to the review now. But heavily recommend Evil Dead 2. It's a really good one. So the movie kicks off. We get a little bit of like that backstory where you see the doctor, getting the book and, mentioning what happens to his wife. And after that, then Ash is dreaming that he's back in the cabin with Linda. I think it's a different actress. I'll admit, initially, even though I had watched it already, I thought like, oh, is this like a? I thought it was like a different opening, but yeah, it was Linda. So it's almost like, because in the '80s, a lot of movies did this where they, especially horror, where they almost like do like a short retelling of the first movie. They kind of did that. Except they didn't go through the full characters, and the actress who's playing Linda is clearly a different actress. Everything seems fine, he's getting the champagne, he gives her the necklace, but then she turns into a deadite. We see we see him kill her, and then and then we get that scene in the end where the force attacks him. Yeah, so the evil force throws Ash into the woods, into some, like, I think, into some mud, and he briefly becomes a deadite, but it breaks, and then he tries to flee the area, but the creatures won't, the force won't let him. But then we cut to these are our new I guess kind of a new group. The daughter of Nobi, who's the archaeologist who found the book, is coming to stay, and her partner Ed. Then they have like the missing pages of the Necronomicon, and they're trying to get to the cabin. While this is happening, Ash dreams of Linda coming back to life, and like there's this really good it's claymation, and the claymation's definitely a lot better in this. I mean, this one's like 6 years later, 1987. I really like the scene where Linda, comes back together. Is actually done really well. Attacks him, but it's a dream. Everything seems fine, but then his hand gets possessed. Attacks him, and then this is where we get the iconic scene where he chops his hand off with a chainsaw. And he ends up killing his hand, but then he keeps hearing noises while this is happening. Annie and Ed run into I'm trying to find the other two characters, Bobby Joe, and I think the other guy's name is Jake, who is this couple, and they basically pay them to take them to the cabin. When they arrive at the cabin, Ash is freaking out, but they don't know what's going on. So Ash just shoots at the door, gets tackled down by the Jake guy, and then they throw him in the cellar, which while this is happening, Annie plays the part of the tape where her dad, reads the lines that wake up the dead. And even the little, I kind of glossed over, but there was a good chase scene where Ash is trying to drive out, but his car doesn't work, so he has to run away. I like that they brought that back from the first movie. And what makes it crazy, you don't know what's attacking him. You just see this force, which the camera work is amazing. I don't know how they were able to do the shot, some of the shots. Sorry if you're hearing fucking wailing. It's my goddamn cat. But but yeah, it was a really well done chase scene. So they arrive. Once Annie reads the um the tape, Henrietta, Annie's grandma or mom, I think actually, sorry, which is Nosby's wife, wakes up, becomes a deadite, tries to attack Ash. Ash manages to get out of the cellar and keep Henrietta there, but Ed becomes possessed, and Ed ends up getting killed by um gets killed by Ash with the axe. And while they go back to the room, I think they see like a message from they end up going to a room because they see like a message from, I think it's from her dad, basically warning them about what's coming. Henrietta, not Henrietta, God, the other chick, Bobby Joe, because she's very forgettable. That's why I did not remember her name. But Bobby Joe, because the hand attacks her, she freaks out, runs outside, and her husband and like freaks out while Ash and Annie are trying to figure out. And we get a little bit of a foreshadowing of Army of Darkness in one of the Necronomicon pages, which I can't wait to review. Then Jake grabs the shotgun and basically forces them to help him search for Bobby Joe, which I get it, but why? Like, she's dead. Which when she runs outside, she ends up getting killed by the trees, which is, like a little callback to the first movie. Granted, the trees didn't kill her, but you did get that, like, the trees wrap her up and stuff. While this happens, the Force ends up possessing Ash, and possessed Ash throws. Jake chases Annie, and Annie grabs the knife, the Kandarian dagger, and she ends up stabbing Jake by accident because she thinks it's Ash. Ash comes in, is about to kill Annie, but sees the locket, or the necklace. Sorry, the necklace that Annie gave him. Not Annie. Linda gave him from the last movie, and it snaps him out of it. And basically, he has to snap Annie out of it because Annie's she still thinks he could be possessed. And it's understandable because it is shown, like even in the last movie, that Deadites can sometimes shift back to their regular form. But yeah, but Ash is full on back. He and Annie, we get this probably one of the most iconic scenes in the movie, or in this franchise, where Ash puts the chainsaw where his hand used to be. He becomes like the Ash we all know, one-liner. Not as like, it's crazy to see like his development even into this movie, but I gotta give it to Bruce Campbell again. His acting in the beginning of this movie is really good, considering he's acting by himself. He's not, up until Annie's group arrives, he's by himself. He's not interacting with anybody. So I gotta give it to him. When you can act by yourself and still make it believable, it's crazy. But so yeah, we get the iconic scene of him making his chainsaw hand, which it's so good. And the first time he says groovy, it's like, here we fucking go. Oh, I should have mentioned Jake got killed during the scuffle by Henrietta, who's now out. They go into the cellar, confront Henrietta, and they find the missing pages. Ash kills Henrietta. We get, Henrietta like says like something about souls, and he's like, swallow this, and she's I fucking love moments like that in movies. Like dope one-liners before a kill is always great. Like they're always satisfying. So after that, the trees outside start attacking the cabin. One comes alive, and the effects for the tree look really fucking good. Like it doesn't look amazing because I would assume, yeah, this movie probably got a bit bigger of a budget compared to the first, but I don't think it's probably that much bigger. So I can understand like it not looking amazing, especially even compared to other movies that came out that same year. But it still looks really good. Like especially the hand, like when the tree hand comes through and attacks Ash, looks really good. She starts reading. Annie, to distract the tree, starts reading the second half of the Necronomicon while Ash uses the Kandarian dagger. A temporal portal opens up, and Ash gets dragged into the Middle Ages, and when Ash shows up, medieval guys show up to confront Ash, but then they think he's the hero that falls from the sky, which is mentioned. I love when a movie like pays itself off like that, like because they do mention even like when you see that initial page, basically foreshadowing Army of Darkness. They mention by a savior from a man from the sky, which is Ash, and Ash is like screaming no because he wants to be back in his time, and he probably doesn't want to be like that hero. But I really love this movie. The special effects, the music, I think continues to be really good in these movies. Very underrated. It's not like obviously it's not like super classic iconic scoring for horror, obviously compared to like the big franchises, but I really think the score in this is really subtle. It's pretty good. I like that you have some couple of scenes where there's a bit of humor, but it still has that dark tone. And like I said, Bruce Campbell's acting in the beginning is really fucking good. Like it honestly, it's very underrated. Like it's like because a lot of these movies are just kind of looked at as like, oh, they're cheap horror movies, which I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but so in a lot of these movies you're not expecting amazing acting, but I thought like he really pulled off, seeming like a crazy guy and going mad because all his friends are dead. He's by himself. He's facing this force alone at this point, and it's just so good. And then we see the growth from going from that. Even like the scene where probably one of my scenes special effects wise is when the force takes over the house and they make everything inside start laughing, and Ash starts going laughing. That was the scene that did it for me. That was like, okay, he really pulls off being crazy. Like he pulls it off like really well. But yeah, then his growth to becoming the Ash we all know. That scene where he makes the chainsaw hand is so fucking good. I was like, yeah, let's fucking go. Go. And I'll admit, like character wise, this isn't as good as the first, but that's fine. I don't, unless it's like Halloween, which is more the franchise where characters are like actually super, and Scream to an extent, where characters are actually done well. Most of the time, I don't horror it as long as they're passable, and I think some of them are passable. Like that's how I look at it. But I still really love this one. This was a really fun one, and Ash is such a good character. The lore around it is really good, and I can't wait to get more from Army of Darkness, which that's the one that most people love, and I can understand why. I love it too, but god damn it, sorry. A lot of people's eyes, that's their favorite, and I can understand because that's where we get Ash at his best. The scene where he gets his metal hand, um, the Hail to the King baby. We get that in that movie. Like all around, I can understand why Army of Darkness is people's favorite. And it's also because it's not as horror-y as the first two are. like this one, yeah, there's a bit of humor, but it still has that very much horror tone, like the first one did. Army of Darkness goes a bit more on the comedic side, where the Deadites aren't really seen as like they're almost like not a threat. They're almost just like a gag, kind of. So, but I really still love Army of Darkness. That movie gave goddamn car. Sorry about that, but yeah, Army of Darkness is such a really good one. So I can't wait to get to that one next week. Like I mentioned, I gave this movie a damn near a 10. I fucking love it. It's perfect Ash and has the perfect tone. Next week we'll be doing not next week. Tomorrow I'll be doing the Goonies, which I cannot wait. One of the most quintessential 80s films ever. Probably the most quintessential 80s film with kids, in my opinion. Like the one where you think like a group of kids are going on an adventure. It's this movie. And just all around a fun one. It's very much different compared to the movies I usually review, especially the last few weeks with Evil Dead and stuff. So, but the Goonies is a great one, and Corey Feldman is great in it. It's probably my favorite Corey Feldman movie, next to Friday Part 4. But yeah, but other than that, I'm gonna cheers to this movie and then peace out. Fuck Warner Brothers. Fuck Disney. Fuck LeBron. Fuck Seth Rogen. Fuck Colin Kaepernick. Fuck Kevin Smith. And fuck the Biden administration. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.